funny because I was just watching your documentary with Stephen Wilson. He was talking about progressive, and it's an interesting topic for us musicians who are under that category of being progressive. And much like Stephen, I have, I guess, a strong feeling about it, a definite idea of what I think it is. First of all, it's a confusing tag because, of course, during the 70s, some of our favorite bands, some of my favorite bands, Genesis, Yes, Gentle Giant, King Crimson, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, came up with this kind of music that was really groundbreaking and started to fuse together the world of classical music and rock and put it together in ways that we hadn't heard before, both in terms of harmonic, rhythmic things, but also sonically, like Keith Emerson, who I've been thinking a lot about lately because we just lost him a few days ago. He basically introduced the idea of having these like really powerful keyboard sounds, using some more classical kind of harmonies, but the tones he was using were, cutting edge. They opened up doors for so many people that changed my life and changed the lives of many that I know. It's gotten to the point now where people who are making music that follows in the path of a Genesis and a Yes and all that kind of stuff, we kind of call that progressive as well. Although the reason that it got that tag is because it was really super innovative at the time, and now it's more like we're just copying to an extent of what that music was all about. Not to say that there's not something really cool about taking classical elements and taking, more advanced harmonies and infusing kind of like the rock spirit to it. That's still a very cool thing to do. But it's not as cutting edge. But of course the word progressive still means, and I'm personally still concerned with the idea of it, moving into the future and still being cutting edge and still changing things. And my experience, because I'm very involved with technology in music, this is one of the things that I do with my life. I work for some of the leading companies that work on where music is going to go. So I kind of have a personal idea about where it's heading and possibly about the way that technology once again can kind of open things up and change them. Of course, we don't know exactly what the door to the future is going to be, which tool, which piece. Is it GeoShred? Is it the Rolly Seaboard? Is it the Linstrument? There's a lot of things that are cutting edge, and how that'll affect us in musical style and in kind of this next groundbreaking phase, we don't know. But it doesn't happen that often, where something is truly progressive and changes the world. But I think technology can lead us there. Well, when I discovered Dream Theater, because I've been in the group about 17 years now, I wasn't there at the beginning, what the guys did was really, really interesting in terms of their own kind of stamp or their way to move it forward, because they definitely did. And to me, what they did was they brought the progressive rock sensibility, some of the harmonies they were using, some of the feeling of like the classic progressive rock, but they also infused it with metal. So it was this very heavy sound, but that wasn't it. The guys also have a virtuosity that you had never seen before. And altogether, it was kind of like the first time that I had heard that mixture of elements. So they took existing elements and they put it together out of their own interests. I mean, this was what, Portnoy and Petrucci, this is what they were thinking about in those days. They were into Iron Maiden and they were into Metallica, but they were also listening to Yes and Genesis. They put it together and they did it in a way that really, I think, changed the world a lot. Well, it's such a unique fan base. Like what I was saying before is that, the style of Dream Theater, it's a mixture between the prog element, the metal element, and the player element. So we really do capture a pretty wide range of people. And even though they might clash over, the different styles that we do that they're into, that there's more or less of on each album, they're a very unique, very kind of cultured, developed crowd. One thing is that, this has been, over the years, a lot of very dedicated work by all the guys in Dream Theater, by even, the guys before me, with recording and touring and all the responsibility that kind of goes with it to the fans and to the other players. like, these days, we feel like there's a lot of, I guess responsibility is the word, because we know that this is an established entity, and we know what it means to the fans, and we also know what it means to each one of us in every possible way. So we take what we do very seriously, and through the years we've built up this really supportive fan base. And because they're so different, they tend to follow along with the different things that we do. With Dream Theater nowadays, I mean, we're kind of like wide open to do what we want. And like this latest album, Astonishing, we decided to write basically a musical. In that sense, that's progressive too, because we're kind of like saying, we don't care about anything. We're gonna put the kinds of music that we want. We're gonna, the concept is gonna be exactly what we want to do. And that's kind of like pushing the boundaries as well. Having grown up with, vinyl albums, having the patience to listen to a whole piece of music, in those days we used to sit and, just really take it in, put our heads between the speakers and go for it was what was happening more in those days, where you'd want to go for the ride with the music. And to me, that was like one of the most fun, coolest things to do with my day. Okay, I'd invite friends over. Hey, come on over. We're going to listen to Tarkus today, or we're going to check out Foxtrot. It was just, that's what we did. We looked forward to that. But nowadays, people are, I think, a little bit more scattered. I mean, everybody says, and it's just reality. We're all looking down at our screens all day, doing whatever the hell each one of us is doing. We're maybe streaming a song from here or there. The mentality is very much like, okay, I'll grab this song, I'll grab that song. It's not like, okay, I'm going to take a lot of time and listen to something all the way through. There's not that many people who do that. And it's really sad, because things are really changing to that more scattered kind of multitasking place for so many people. It's been a terrible thing really for the music business. We've watched CD sales go way down. We see musicians struggling to have a career. And a lot of it is really because of this. There's no denying that. There's a lot of positive things that are happening, musically speaking, but the album concept itself has been kind of like, fading away. With that all said, I still think that it's an amazing thing to offer a piece of music, like something that is complete, something that is an album, where the artist, it doesn't have to be a concept album, but where the artist says, okay, I'm creating a work and I want people to ideally listen to this and experience it. I think it's an important thing that artists do. I don't want to see it go away. So with Dream Theater, we have a very unique following. These are people who are so invested in what we do. They listen to music. There's a lot of them out there. So we felt like, what? We're just going to go for this. We've been together a long time. We want to make not only an album again, but we want to make a big album. We want to make it a concept. We want to make a detailed story. And we're going to ask our listeners to go for not just a small ride, but a big ride. And then to follow that, yes, it's a double CD in its release form, but also we decided in our concerts, we're going to present the Astonishing live. So we just started to go around the world and do this as a complete show. That's kind of where we're at. We're taking a little bit of almost like a power stance in it and wanting to bring it back, because that's a part of it. We want people to listen to music. I mean, we're musicians and we're artists, and we have the power right now. Unlike some artists who are wonderful artists, but maybe they're new artists and they can't work the system this way. They don't have the might, they don't have the career, they don't have the fans to try things like this. They have to more fall into the system. So maybe if enough of us who are established can kind of push, maybe we can keep we can keep the music alive for as long as possible.
Bam! That was Dream Theater's keyboard wizard, Jordan Rudess, and you've been watching Into the Machine. The show's over for now, but we want to thank all the bands, all the labels, all the promoters, all the managers who helped us make this show, and we want to thank you for tuning in every week to check it out. We hope you like it. We got a whole bunch more stuff coming this year. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be bat crazy. Freaks TV, freaks out.
Vibrato. It's left and right is vibrato.
Bass
Yeah.
players. That's crazy.
Change that mirror. Let's now lift up again, and now start another note. Maybe at the bottom. And now push up. And you play with the harmonic point while you're holding it and vibratoing. I'll give you a chord. Natural Geo player, buddy. Right on.